Hey folks, Sean here, and in this episode I want to talk to you about how to manage notifications in your software or your SaaS application. And the story that I want to share with you is one that annoys probably all of us almost all of the time depending on where you live. And I'm talking about the car alarm. If you have a vehicle, or you know someone who does, or you've walked through a city that has a bunch parked or whatever, I'm sure you've undoubtedly heard car alarms going off upon occasion. My question to you is, what happens when they go off? Does anyone change almost anything? Assuming you weren't standing directly next to it and it startled you maybe a little bit, everyone else, if you look around, is completely unfazed. No one even thinks twice. Most people don't even look at the direction where the noise is coming from. Car alarms, in terms of the reaction that they garner, have essentially become completely ineffective. So why is this? That's the question, right? Well, my theory and the argument I think to be made here is that they go off so frequently, or at least they have, when someone isn't trying to steal your car. So because of that, people started ignoring them. Even the people that own the cars. I had a friend back in high school. He had a Jeep Wrangler or something like that. Someone installed some kind of aftermarket quote-unquote security system. And I remember a story where, I don't know, wherever we were staying over his house or something. His parents had, or I think it was one of my other friends' houses we were staying at. But anyway, my friend with the Jeep, his car was parked at this parent's house. And then randomly in the middle of the night, the alarm just starts going off. So with the keys, my friend's parents tried to disable the security system to shut it up because they're in a neighborhood and it was supposed to be quiet. Couldn't disable the car alarm. I was able to start the car, which totally rendered the whole system ineffective because it didn't even stop or prevent doing the one thing that it was supposed to do, which was basically driving away with the car, which this parent was actually able to do. And then they wound up essentially driving the car around the neighborhood, away from the neighborhood, with the car alarm just blaring the whole time. Anyway, long story short, they couldn't disable it. So they took the car to like a giant big box store parking lot and just left it there while it was blaring the whole time because they couldn't figure out how to disable the alarm. Long story short here is that most car alarms have been rendered completely ineffective because they don't do what they're supposed to do, and they make a lot of noise and they generate notifications at seemingly all the wrong times. So because of that, it's not a good solution to the problem that they intended to solve. But because of that, the effect that it's had is rather than it gaining attention, it's become the universal signal to be ignored and seemingly just annoys people at this point. People are almost completely uninterested and disregard whether or not your car is actually being stolen. They just want the noise to stop because the noise is annoying. Now, I think this is a lesson in notification management because I see a similar experience to the car alarm in plenty of the software that I use where they're just too noisy. And it doesn't matter how you generate those notifications. They could be pop-ups in the system. They could be emails that you generate. One way or the other, if you're fatiguing your users, and a large majority of them are unsubscribing from your lists, marking your email as spam, which is damaging for your brand and your domain reputation, or ignoring them in your software, it could be driving people to use your software less or cancel their subscriptions. So the point here is that there's a balance to be struck. You need to make sure that any notifications that you generate, they happen at an appropriate time and they provide value. So if you are looking at redesigning or designing notifications for your software system, you need to make sure that notifications have a specific purpose and that they're not too noisy, that they provide a specific type of value, and that they are actually valued by your users and customers. So one way to check this is to see when notifications are generated, do you see an appropriate bump in certain types of usage or activity? That means people are taking action from notifications that you're generating. So you need to be carefully watching how much action people are taking from the notifications that get generated, because if that's not consistent and that's falling, then that could be causing more problems than you realize. So use this process in order to do so.